Hello and thanks for joining us on Punters Inside Run. Christmas is fast approaching, but racing continues right around the country as always. I'm Matthew Campbell. Great to be with you. I'm joined by Mick, Sharkie,
Hello,
my
Matthew.
partner in crime, but more importantly, we're joined by James Lamb. Welcome back from Japan.
Thank you, Matty. I'd be lying if I said it was good to be back. I would have liked to have stayed another few weeks in Japan, but it was a very good trip.
It's a great place, as we know that. We've discussed that. But did you manage to get to the races while you're there?
I didn't actually. No, it was a bit of a hard sell for the better half, so we didn't quite make it to the race.
To be fair, judging by your social media accounts, there was a lot of time spent eating and drinking.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't a lot of windows for going to the track.
No, there was a lot of eating, a lot of drinking, and a bit of sightseeing to appease Cynthia.
And we'll get to it shortly. But the great thing about the consistency in this program is brutality's running again.
He's going around again, Matty, which means my bank balance is about to decrease signification. So, yeah, as I said in the green room before, the kids might be getting their school uniforms for Christmas if he can't win.
He is running in another big race in New South Wales, as we alluded to last week. So Nick H will join us shortly to talk about the Ingham and the other races at Randwick. And there's another big race in Perth, although it's big money, but it's only a Group 3. But let's get stuck into racing now. And we won't get you to tip something in Perth, but Melbourne's your specialty, but it's hard to ignore when Godolphin leave a Kementari and a Villana over there for a race like this, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I'll stay in my lane with the Melbourne stuff,
Yep.
Matty, but a bit of a whisper around that Villana might have a bit of a hoof abscess, so keep an eye on that.
Kementari is the class runner in the race, and the good thing about that, from a Kementari fan perspective, it's been to Perth before.
He's been there and campaigned there before with success, Matty, so we know that he likes the track and the good ground over there that tend to get in Perth. It agrees with him. He's really well placed in that race, isn't he?
James mentioned Villana, so there's a question mark over Villana.
Yeah, and favourite for the race at the moment, so we could see a bit of a market shake-up if that hoof abscess is going to be a problem, but we'll know probably in the next 48 hours.
What about the locals? They come from different form lines, some coming out of the Winterbottom, some coming out of the railway.
Yeah, they do, and all over the place. Well, 1,400 metre race, you've either got horses dropping back, as you say, from the railway, or those stepping up. I've gone with form lines coming out of the Winterbottom. I reckon Elite Street was bloody unlucky in that Winterbottom, being caught wide and loomed up and sort of ran into the race like he was going to win. And then the effort just, sitting 3 and 4 wide without cover probably just told. All
right, now you mentioned Elite Street. Give us your top 3 then for the Gold Rush.
Elite Street is on top for me, number 3, ahead of number 2, Villana. And then right down the bottom, a horse that went to the railway, and I just don't think she ran the trip out, Carly's Karma. She'll sit up on speed.
What sort of
She's
price
got a really
talking
good kick. I think she's $23.
Okay, a bit of value there. Well, I've gone for the favourite, or I've gone for Kementari, as we mentioned. Yeah, it's been racing in much better races than this. 4 runs this prep, so due for a win. Has raced and won in Perth. Kiss on All Four Cheeks is just absolutely flying. Yeah. And it won a Let's Elopa Group 2 over the 1400 earlier in the spring in Melbourne. And Elite Street, as you mentioned, was unlucky last start. So we're a little bit similar.
Yeah, super,
no, not really. Super
even race, though. You could probably throw in another couple there, even Hot Zed coming out of the Winterbottom, which ran such a great race. He's pretty consistent. So there's a stack of them there with some sort of chance.
Yeah, good racing as always. All right, we move from Perth. We come back to Victoria, and James Lamb is in the wheelhouse now. What did you make of the Sandown card? It looks like it could be a good day for punters, in particular early. The last couple of races a bit trickier.
Yeah, well, my best bets come up pretty early in the cards. I'm hoping for a fair track because I have gone with a bit of a mix of on paces and those that'll be swooping. But Sandown Hillside generally plays pretty fair right across the track.
What did you make of the meeting, mate?
Yeah, very even. There's some good summer fields, I guess. A few horses of interest, Detonator Jack, Green Fly, Clash. A couple of imports having their first look in Australia too, so they're always interesting.
All right, I reckon one of them might pop up in your numbers later on. Where did you land for your best bet there?
Best bet, race 3, number 2, Midtown Boss, around the 380 at the time we record. Outside gate, but I think it might be a bit of a race for the swoopers. I went through the field and 5 of the 11 runners have actually led in their last couple of starts, so I think it'll be a really strong tussle for the front there. Midtown Boss was a dominant maiden winner at Geelong and then got the job done again last start. Bit more workmanlike, but a big gap to third, which I always like to see, and I really like him stepping up to 1,400. I think he's a horse with a bright future and we're getting a decent price for him.
All right, Midtown Boss, best bet for James. Your best bet at Sandown Hillside?
I'm looking at So You See, Matty, in race 6, number 7. But she's a pretty talented filly and she got tried in Group 1 company during a 3-year-old season. Had a throat operation, so there was clearly a bit of a wind issue there with her. She's come back and run really well first up, just probably lacked fitness. Goes out here over 1,400 metres second up. She takes on Life Lessons, who beat her last start, but I think she'll turn the tables.
So you weren't concerned that Life Lessons sort of pulled away a little bit towards the end?
Well, first up, maybe she was a little bit soft. Life Lessons has been up and going, had that run under her belt. And also the weight turnaround. She gave her more weight on that occasion, so you see. So she gets closer to Life Lessons at the handicap. I think it'll help.
2 or 2.5 kilos.
It's a fair margin, isn't it?
I'm going with the Detonator again. I mean, we saw that soft track at Ballarat, didn't we? Horses were getting to the outside.
Yeah.
Detonator Jack was caught on the inside. Right at the end, Greenfly catches it, but I think there's a little bit of a weight turnaround. We get back to a good surface, and I think Detonator Jack thrives more so on a good surface than maybe Greenfly.
That's a big help for him, I think, being on a good track. And Greenfly, if the track comes up, in that good 3 range, they may wait for another day. So, good race for Detonator.
All right, something else to follow and some value?
Yeah, race 4, number 10, Arctica, around the $3 quote, so a bit of a running double there. Drew wide at Flemington last start, just never got in at all, but had the tenacity to stick on, was beaten less than a length there, and the winner of that race, Matron Bullwinkle, then ran really well at its next start. So I think it's a similar affair here. Map's a lot better, a lot more of an economical run. My only little query was 1,700 back to 1,600, but trust Mara and Eustace know a little bit more than I do, Matty, so back them in there. And the Moe race that it won has actually turned out to be a ripping form race, so I think Arctica will be too good, and all the chances in that race look to be down the bottom, so look at the double figure numbers down the bottom of your race book there.
And your value bet for the day?
Value bet, race 9, number 14, Stabler at $21, so
good, I've got a potty.
Get out in the last.
Elliot, I like to call him.
It's a wide open race, so I thought I'd just go with a horse that's on the up. It had a very long break, about 400 days, and it's won its 2 starts since, both pretty easy wins. And the race it won last start, pretty good closing sectionals, and it wasn't a bad race. Like, the 2 horses that it beat have been competitive at this level, so I think he's probably over the odds. And the other one you could throw in the quaddy in that race, Matty, was Kev's Girl. Big winner last start, and the format of that race has stacked up really well. Both place getters have won in dominant fashion since.
Okay, might just have to write that down and make an adjustment. Your next best and your value?
Detonator Jack's my next best at the shorts, but I think the value is in race 8, number 13, Kettle Hill. So one of these imports that we're seeing for the first time. A couple of jump outs have been good, just quiet, let him go to the line under his own steam. But he's got decent handicap form, sort of to rating 95 standard in the UK. That usually translates pretty well out to Australia, and he's a miler essentially, so I think 1,400 metres is not going to be beyond him.
I've gone with race 4. I've gone with Tasman Park out of the same race. Done nothing wrong the first 2 starts, been favourite, has delivered. The horse he beat last time, came out and ran a really good race again on Wednesday, so I'll go with Tasman Park. And value, I was going to go Santiro again 2 weeks in a row because it was a bit unlucky last start, but I'll go with race 3, number 9, In Your Hands for Michael Hughlin.
Yeah, great win.
Yeah, nice win at Moe on debut. Might get a better run, a bit closer to the speed this time, so Alana Kelly gets the claim, so it gets down to 53 kilos, so In Your Hands for me. James, great to have you back.
Thank you, Matty.
And you'll be drinking Japanese beer for the rest of your life now.
Yeah, I was already a big Asahi fan, but I'm definitely more converted now.
Great to have you back. James Lamb joining us from punters.com, and Nick H will join us next to talk the Ingham and racing at Randwick.
The betting brand for sports fans. That's better. Gamble responsibly.
This is Punters Inside Run. James Lamb out, Nick H in, and you mentioned it last week because we talked about the fact that we didn't have anything special, no big money races, and you mentioned it only takes a week, and we're back with the Ingham.
That's right, a little quiet week last week, but $2 million and got the full field, of course, but a fitting favourite, of course, for the Ingham with Nugget.
Why is this worth $2 million?
Yeah, well, it's previously De Villiers Stakes.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Right, there you go. That clarifies it for a few people, because I think people are looking at it going, what's the Ingham and why is it worth $2 million? But yeah, it's the old Villiers.
It is indeed, and obviously a nice path to the Donny perhaps for the winner, and it's got the full field for emergencies. Nugget, one of those emergencies.
Let's talk about that. I mean, we'll get to our tips shortly, but second emergency at the moment. Is it a fingers crossed situation that a couple decide, or was it some phone calls made on a Friday night? We'll give you a little sling if you decide to scratch it.
There might be a few, but you think when it is a $2 million race, it is a little bit harder to get a few to scratch. So it might have to wait for the race after, unfortunately.
If it's a short price favourite to win that next race, but if it does race, does it change your situation?
I think with the barrier, still a huge chance. It was a massive win last start, but I'll probably stick with who I've got on top, but clearly Nugget. If it runs, big chance.
Let's get to the elephant in the room, and it's the horse you've tipped more times than any other horse in the history of racing. Brutality.
This is a long drawn out romance between Brutality and I. Eventually there's going to be a payoff. And we're both going to lie back and smoke a cigarette and think that was great. But I'm just waiting for that
Or you're going to swipe
I'm waiting
left
for the climax, Matty. It's not happening. I don't know what's going on. Nick, am I mad? Should I be going again?
You go again. Off last week, you just had the perfect run for this. Had the big weight.
Had the big weight, got home nicely.
You know, and I
Can't
watched
get
it.
off now.
I watched it last week. I thought, gee, that's a really good trial for something. I didn't expect to see him a week later. I thought, of course, the Ingham. Here we are. The punishment continues.
What about some of the other form races leading into this that we can think about?
Yeah, obviously got coming from everywhere here,
Yeah.
and my top picks coming into it fresh here with Hueta. But look, you could make a case for so many in this race. As we mentioned, Nugget, the favourite there, but a lot of the favourites have drawn wide. The other top.
It's amazing how many of the numbers have drawn wide in this race, isn't it?
Yeah.
So a luck in running will play a part, but I just think with Hueta, you've got a horse that is genuine weight for age standard. We saw that in Brisbane. I'm not sure too many would beat Maximal and Sharkie under weight for age. Has to do it fresh, but I think he's got enough sprint in his legs to do it over a mile.
And he's only here because he had a little setback during the spring that just sort of derailed things. But a $2 million race is not a bad little consolation target.
Absolutely. It might work out beautifully for him.
All right, take us through your top three then for the M.
Yeah, so Hueta on top there, the top weight, number one. Nuggets in the mix.
Yep.
We've just got to wait outside of that. I do have Brutality in the numbers.
This is amazing.
It may be all
I know
coming
what's
to
coming up
Saturday.
next, yeah.
And Diamal as well.
Yep.
I think the draw really important for Diamal because a horse that does get a little bit back, but from barrier 4 can sort of go midfield rather than getting
Yeah,
too
because a
far
lot of
back.
them are drawn very wide, as you mentioned. I know what you've got on top. You've got Brutality on top.
Yeah.
haven't you?
Well, I'm looking for reasons, like some sort of spiritual guidance. 17's my lucky number as of the fields coming out. I did an article on Regan Bayliss once. He called me a good bloke, so that's a good pointer. And he's drawn barrier 14. And I've probably lost $14 million backing that Brutality in the last month or so. So he's on top. Diamil, number 14, next best. I love the draw. I reckon he's drawn to get the absolute gun run in this race. And Skylab, number 9, next best for me.
All right, well, I've gone for Nugget if it does get a run on top. Otherwise, I'm going with Brutality, Hueta, as you mentioned. And if Nugget doesn't get a start, I'll throw in Dajran as my third pick. But we're all around the mark.
We are.
And we're hoping for your sake.
Well, pray for
for
Sharkie.
Hoping for your kids, yeah. All right, let's move on to some other tips for the day at Randwick.
Yeah, best bet in one of the other features in race 7 there with Waihaha Falls. Third up now. I think this is his race. 2 runs have been pretty good. First up, excuses with the wide draw. Had the big weight, albeit the winner did 2 there second up. But I think now with the step up in grade, big drop in weight.
Yeah.
It's got a nice turn of foot, and I think with that drop in weight, that'll allow us to see that. Barrier 6 should be okay. It'll just be that first couple hundred metres. You just want to see him get some cover around midfield. And if we see that, I think he sprints it, and he goes really well at Randwick, importantly.
Yeah, track and distance. So I've landed on him as well as the other horse I want to back on the program. That track and distance stats is so important, particularly at this venue with the rail in this position.
Absolutely.
I've landed on him as my best bet. So while we're talking about it, so we've all agreed that this horse can't win now. Completely cannot win. What about something else to follow?
A bit of value in the last. Always nice to have one in the last. A horse called Banju. Tough as old boots, this horse. Did it really tough out wide last start. Up on the speed, 3 wide, no cover. It was really game in the end. Look, he's a horse that's come through the highways now, and he finds himself in a decent 78 grade. But I think form around the likes of Cavalier Charles is good enough, and he'll make his own luck. A nice low draw this time. He'll be in a long way.
Shark, got a value bet? No?
Look, Matty, I'm not going to tempt fate. If I'm backing Brutality, I don't think I need to be too clever on the day. I think there'll be enough value in him if he wins.
I've got one in race 3, number 14, Operative, at around that sort of $8 mark. It's been racing pretty well. The horses that he's been racing against and beaten the last couple of starts all placed at Rosehill last week. So I'm hoping Bretton Abdullah has a good day. So because I've got a couple of his tips there. So
Beautiful.
Operative in race 3. Well done, Nick. Always good to see you, mate. Fingers crossed Nugget gets a start, but good luck with the Hueta as well.
Thank you, and fingers crossed. I had a lot of bad luck last week with a few of them.
Getting close.
So surely this week that can turn.
That's what we want to hear on Punters Inside Run. If things don't go right, things will turn. And we'll take a break. We're back with the big call after this.
The betting brand for sports fans. That's better. Gamble responsibly.
This is the big call. This is the segment where here on Punters Inside Run we'll give you all the best bets and all the tips. Mick Sharkie, why don't you take us through James Lamb's best bets?
James Lamb's best for Sandown Hillside. His best is Midtown Boss, race 3, number 2. His next best, Matty, is Arctica, race 4, number 10. And his best value, Stabler, race 9, number 14.
Go Elliot. Nick H at Randwick, his best bet is in race number 7, and we all agreed with Waihaha Falls, so that's a good sign. Best value is in the final race, number 14 in Banju. In the Ingham, the $2 million race is gone for number 1, Whittle, in front of Diamil 14, and Nugget, if it does get a start, number 22. He's also given us some tips for the Gold Rush over there in Perth. He's gone for Kementari on top ahead of stablemate Valana, and like me, he likes a kiss on all 4 cheeks, so that's 1, 2 and 14. Yours.
Matty, in the Gold Rush, I'm with Elite Street, number 3 at each way odds. Valana, number 2, if he runs, let's hope he does.
Yep.
Carly's Karma, number 16, value in for 3rd. The Ingham for me, well, Brutality, number 17.
Yeah, who would have thought?
Wow. Diamil, number 14, and Skylab, number 9. My best at Sandown is So You See, race 6, number 7. Next best, Detonator Jack, race 5, number 6. I think most will find him. Best value, Kettle Hill, race 8, number 13.
And in Randwick?
Randwick
You're
as
with
well,
Waihaha,
Falls, of course.
Yep.
Yes, we're all in the Waihaha pylon.
Yeah, Waihaha. I've gone for Kementari in the Gold Rush ahead of Kiss on All 4 Cheeks and Mix Selection Elite Street, so number 3 to run 3rd. In the Ingham, Nugget, if it gets a start, Brutality will be my pick if it doesn't, ahead of Whittle, number 1. At Sandown, best bet is the Detonator, race 5, number 6. Next best in race 4, Tasman Park, to remain undefeated. And then my best value is in race 3, In Your Hands, number 9. My best bet is Waihaha as well, everybody is. And value race 3, number 14, Operative, at around that $8 mark. And here comes the quaddie. Now,
Did you get it last week?
No, but I did on the day because I substituted a number because one of mine was out or whatever, so I managed to get it.
Well, you know what? I'm saying you've got it.
The numbers on the show didn't get it.
Well, right, okay.
But, yeah,
well,
but anyway. It's
we got it in spirit?
In spirit, yeah, in spirit. I mean, it was in the bank after a while, but it didn't last long.
Exactly.
This is a very hard quaddie. 3, 6, 7, 9. Second leg, 2, 5, 6, 11, 12, 14. Third leg, 2, 6, 10, 12, 13. And the last leg is a very tough race, but I've only gone for the 4, 5, 7, 8, 14. That's 21% for $100. But it is a very tough quaddie. It will pay well on Saturday.
Well, it will pay well just in time for Christmas. And do you know what?
What?
You'll get that.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Thank you, sir.
We need help at Christmas time and you're going to provide it. Thanks, Matty.
Thank you, Shark, for joining us. Thanks also to James Lamb and Nick H from punters.com. Thank you for joining us as well. Don't forget, subscribe below, and we'll see you next time on Punters Inside Run.
The betting brand for sports fans. That's better. Gamble responsibly.